more people come.
You're live. You're on.
Good morning. So glad to see everybody here today. Excuse me. Is everybody happy with this beautiful sunshine after all that rain and wind? Isn't it great? I'll tell you what. Let's start this morning with a prayer. And this came from our prayer vigil that we did the other night. May today there be peace within. May you trust your highest power that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith. May you use those gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. May you be content knowing you are a child of God. Let the presence settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing, dance, is there for each and every one of us. Amen. Let us start with our opening affirmation. There is only one presence and one power in the universe. The good, omnipotent. Well, this morning we get to do something we haven't done for a while, and I'm really happy. I understand we have some guests. So may we ask if you wouldn't mind standing up and telling us where you're from?
I'm Jana, and this is Phil, and we're from North Carolina, and we've been camping around here for the last couple of weeks and decided to come and visit Bill today.
Great. Well, we're so happy to have you here today. Thank you. And of course, this morning we have Reverend Lindahn. We're very welcome. We welcome you. We're very glad to have you here today. Let's start off. I believe we have a song, if the music is lined up. Flow, River, Flow.
Flow, river, flow, take me where I need to go. Flow, river, flow, lead me now, I'm ready to go. Flow, river, flow, take me where I need to go. Flow, river, flow, lead me now, I'm ready to go. Through the canyons, over the mountains, in the meadows where the wildflowers grow. Through the people that receive me, and the ones that touch my soul. River flow, take me where I need to go. Flow, river flow, lead me now, I'm ready to go. There is nothing accidental, nothing more that I need to know. Now I'm moving in synchronicity, and everything is in the flow. Flow, river flow, take me where I need to go. Flow, river flow, lead me now, I'm ready to go. And flow, river flow, take me where I need to go. Flow, river flow, lead me now, I'm ready to go. Flow, river flow, flow, river flow, flow, river flow, flow, river flow.
Flow, River, Flow. And that was a great segue into bringing Gail up. Everybody knows we have a lot going on here at church, and Gail Career is going to fill us in on what we got going.
Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see you. It's so good to see you. Thank you for coming out. And of course, this morning was unusual. It's unusual in two ways. Mike Davis is not with us. He's taking some classes today, and tomorrow he's going off to Canoga Retreat. So he'll be busy with that. We missed him this morning, and we did not have outside service this morning, but we will next week at 9:45 to 10:15. And then Mike will boogie on in here, and we'll have another service in the sanctuary. It's fun to see Mike boogie. Today we have Reverend Ron Lindahn, who always brings us a powerful message. Welcome, Ron. Next Sunday, Mike Davis will be back with his music and a wonderful message. And if you would like to sing and you want to sing outside and you have to sing on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock behind the sanctuary, I have the perfect group for you. Why don't you think about that? And even if you sing off key, nobody cares. It's outside. So come. We have a class coming up with Reverend Robin, and she's spectacular if you've ever taken a class with Reverend Robin. And she has added a Zoom component, and it's going to be on Wednesday starting in October. And it's going to be in the afternoon for Zoom and in the early evening for in-person class. So if you've been fooling around with the idea of meditation and you think, well, I've been going on my own for a long time. What shall I do next? This may be for you. Check the Mountain Spirit for details. Just for the fun of it, we're having a bonfire on October 10th. It's outside, it's smoky, it's bright, it's pretty, no food or anything, and we will observe all the precautions. You can bring your own snack if you like, and that's going to be October 10th, a Saturday, so mark your calendars, please. Also coming up, there are all kinds of things online. One of them is called The Power of Love. It's a global summit and is coming up in October. Are you receiving the Mountain Spirit email newsletter? If not, see me. If you've been having trouble receiving it, see me. If you have a Hotmail and you haven't been getting it, especially see me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gail. One of the ladies came up to me this morning before we started, and I've kind of gotten into this habit of trying to get service started off with something humorous so that we all kind of loosen up a little bit and warm-up act, if you will. And it brought to mind how when people see things and the perception that people see things in. There were these three women, and they were all meeting for coffee one morning. And you know how us guys like to embellish our stories, you know, how we caught the big one or how the big one got away and so on. So the three women are talking, and the first woman goes, I'm so proud of my son. He's a priest, you know. And when he walks into the room, everyone calls him father. And the second woman, not to be outdone by the first, turns around and goes, well, my son is a Monsignor. And when he walks into the room, everyone says, Your Excellence. Third woman thinks for a minute and goes, my son is 6'4" and has black wavy hair. And when he walks into the room, all the women go, oh my God. With that, let's lead into the presence of love.
In the presence of love, we bless this day. Hearts open wide, we gather to pray. Abundantly blessed, we raise our hands in the presence of love. In the presence of love, we bless this day. Hearts open wide, we gather to pray. Abundantly blessed, we raise our hands in the presence of love. Abundantly blessed, we raise our hands in the presence of love.
I would like to invite Charlotte up now with our prayer box and for our daily word.
Thank you, Ed. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you in this beautiful morning, this crisp temperature change and autumn that's just around the moment. So we have our prayer box here and we pray over it for 30 days and then we send it on to Silent Unity where they pray for them for another 30 days. And if you have somebody that you're concerned about or you haven't submitted their name in writing into the box, we could do that right now, either silently or out loud. Sweet, loving Spirit, healing God that surrounds all of us as well as our loved ones that we so care about. Our concerns are genuine. Our hearts are hurting. And we know that you answer all of our prayers. We stand steadfast next to those people who we care about so badly, as well as those we have never met. We're grateful that someone, as well as the privilege that we get to have to pray for our loved ones. We see them past their situation. We see them as whole, healthy, safe, prosperous, and at peace. And for all of that, we're grateful. And so it is. Amen. Today's word of the day, smile. I share the joy and love of God when I smile. Even if a language barrier prevents me from understanding another's words, I know that most people will respond to a friendly smile. My smile can convey goodwill, communicate delight from an unexpected blessing, or inspire awe at the sight of a star-filled night sky. A child not yet able to talk shares love and joy quite effectively with a sunny smile. I feel happy when others smile at me. This friendly, welcoming gesture reminds me that we are all in one in the Spirit. Smiling at my reflection in the mirror, I see the light that shines from me. I feel a quickened awareness of the divine love and joy that are present everywhere as I realize how simply and beautifully my smile can express that love and joy without any need for words. And today we get to see your smiling eyes. And from Numbers chapter 6, verse 25, the Lord makes his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And so it is.
Gentle Spirit, flow in me. Gentle Spirit, grow in me. Gentle Spirit, show in me. Gentle Spirit, know me. Gentle Spirit, flow in me. Gentle Spirit, grow in me. Gentle Spirit, show in me. Gentle Spirit, know me. Gentle Spirit, flow in me. Gentle Spirit, grow in me. Gentle Spirit, show in me. Gentle Spirit, know me. Gentle spirit, know me. Let's meditate together. Of course, it's useful to sit upright, attentive, poised. And we simply open our minds and open our hearts, the essence of our being. We open to the infinite. We acknowledge ultimate reality, God, however we conceive God to be. And we are reminded that we are a unit of the pure essence of ultimate reality, that we are a ray or a viewpoint of God, inseparable, whole, perfect already. And so we simply turn our attention within, and it can be useful to flow the attention to the area between the eyebrows, the forehead. This is where the frontal lobes of the brain are. This is our center of will, focused attention. And also it inhibits thoughts, emotions. And so we can be fully present in this moment, right here, right now, where we are. We can take a nice deep breath in order to be relaxed and present. And our objective in meditation is always to be fully awake, to experience directly the truth of our own being as pure conscious awareness. And this experience goes beyond thought, ideas, memories, expectations. When the mind and the field of awareness come clear, when thoughts subside, then we rest in our essence of being, in our true nature as spirit. And here we are, one with God. And because the mind has a tendency to be restless, thoughts continue to bubble up, memories, expectations, emotions. And so we focus our attention between the eyebrows, and we can simply observe the breath, giving our mind something to focus on. We watch the breath as we inhale, cool, as we exhale, a little warmer. And we simply rest in conscious awareness of breath. And when thoughts begin to percolate up, we disregard them, let them go, and keep focused on the breath until there is only the observer, the witness, our essence, and the breathing. And we may have to bring the attention back to the breath again and again. But eventually, the mind becomes quiet and still. And in the stillness and in the silence, we rediscover our own true nature.
We are here all the time. We are always what we are. But we become distracted. So allow yourself to just rest in being. Non-thinking awareness, bright, awake, clear, but no thought. And you begin to notice that you are observing this process, observing not only the breath, but observing thoughts percolating, observing you changing your focus of attention. The observer, the witness, this is what you are. And when the mind and the field of awareness becomes very subtle, very quiet, we can let go of even the technique of watching the breath and just rest in being, rest in the silence, in the stillness. Pure conscious, pure awareness, existence being. Here we are, immortal, birthless, deathless. We are infinite. There is no edge or boundary to our consciousness, to our awareness. We live outside of time and space. Perfect, whole, complete, already. And in time, with practice, we find that we can come to this space of pure awareness to our essence of being anytime. It becomes easier and easier as we become familiar with the feeling, with the experience, until we can be consciously aware of our true nature all the time, even when we're interacting and relating, operating in the world, but not of it. We can always be aware of our own true nature and our relationship with God. And before we conclude our meditation, it's useful to take a moment and imagine our consciousness, our beingness, blended with mass consciousness. Our mind is a portion of God's mind, and so what we hold in our mind is held in the mind of all. And so we take a moment to feel our own peace and contentment right now in this moment, and then to radiate goodwill, to broadcast our own blessing to all beings everywhere. We imagine the 7.8 billion people on this planet, and we send them our love. We wish for each one the highest and best for their own good. We see each and every person to be a bright, shining, life-giving spirit, identical to ourselves. So we radiate goodwill. We see them happy, healthy, prosperous, fulfilled, content. And we see them rapidly awakening to the truth of their own nature, awakening in God. And so we love them and we bless them and we wish them well, everyone. No exceptions. We are literally all in this together. And finally, we feel good about ourselves. We feel ourselves to be on friendly terms with this nurturing, supportive universe. We know that as we live skillfully, we have the full support of nature, of emerging events and circumstances, and of God's grace, that is the unplanned, unexpected, unearned good, which is always available to us if we are simply open and receptive to it. And so we give heartfelt thanks for our lives, for the many, many blessings, the opportunities to interact and to relate, the opportunities to learn and to grow and to awaken, and the opportunities to serve, to make a useful contribution. So for all of our many, many blessings, we give heartfelt thanks. And finally, together, we can say, Amen. Peace. So our theme for this morning is the secret to life. And of course, I'm reminded of the story about the elementary school teacher who had assigned to all the kids to draw a picture, to make a nice little illustration and drawing. And she went around and was checking one student after the next. And she came to this little girl and she wasn't quite sure what she was drawing. She said, What are you drawing, Sally? What is that? She said, I'm drawing a picture of God. And the teacher said, nobody knows what God looks like. And Sally said, when I get done with this picture, they will. So what is the secret to life? If when we tell you the secret, it won't be a secret anymore. This is going out broadcast to the world through Facebook. So the cat's out of the bag, so to speak. The secret to life, a good life, effective life, free life, is health and happiness. Health and happiness. This is one of those bottom line things. This is where everybody, they really want to be healthy and they want to be happy. And I brought along, I hardly ever have notes, but I brought along the definition from the dictionary of health. The definition of health is the condition of the body or mind which indicates soundness or vigor, freedom from disease or ailment. And of course, they're limited to the body and the mind, but our health includes the body, the mind, our emotional nature, and our spirit. So body, mind, emotion, and spirit, these are all dimensions of our being. They're not separate. They're not different departments. They are just different ways of looking at this unit, this thing that we are. So we are a body, we have a physical body, we use a mind, we have an emotional, a feeling, connected nature, and we are spirit. We are all of these things. We just look at them in different ways. And what does it take to be healthy? What does this mean to be? They say free from disease or ailment, but the word health actually comes from a Proto-Indo-European root. And it's nice to go back and look at where words come from because we get a little more feeling, a little more essence of what they're about. And this word health comes from wholeness, to be whole. Health comes from this word that meant whole, uninjured, of good omen. So wholeness is health. When we are whole, complete, have integrity on all levels, we're healthy. And when we're not, when we have a problem physically, there's an imbalance, something going on. Mentally, if we have a challenge, some, characteristic, something that's happening that's challenging. Emotionally or spiritually, if we feel disconnected. Any of these things impede our experience of wholeness. And this is a real problem because all of the conditions, all the suffering, all the things that happen in the world that create problems for us are the result of not feeling whole, not feeling complete. Which is true. And the primal reason, the primal cause of this lack of wholeness, of not feeling complete, is ignorance. If we go back to the Vedas, to the ancient spiritual texts from India, they say ignorance. And what's the ignorance? The ignorance is the ignorance of our true nature, of what we are. We think that we feel, we have the sensation that we're outside, that we're not part of God, that we're not part of the wholeness of this reality, that we're not part of the environment. I mean, when we're young, all we want to do is to be chosen for the team. We want to be part of something. We feel there is this incompleteness deep inside, this aspiration at the soul level to feel complete, to feel whole. But in our external reality, we don't have that because we're kind of under a spell. We're kind of under this little magical spell, this enchantment that keeps us from feeling connected and complete and whole. And why is this? Where does this spell come from? Well, part of it comes from the fact that when we're very young, we get trained into this idea that we're separate. We get trained out of the experience, the direct experience of awe and wonder. When you're a little kid, everything is magical. Everything is, interesting. Everything is engaging. But what happens is we start to get domesticated, housebroken. We turn into acceptable members of society and we lose some of our this sense of awe and wonder. But there's even a deeper level of problem that creates this ignorance, and that is understanding the nature of God itself. What is God, and what is our relationship with God? So we are also taught and trained that God is something out there. That God is, the cosmic creator, the cosmic potter, the cosmic maker, who is putting things together, designing things, creating a blueprint for the world and a blueprint for all the pieces and all the way things come together and working out the physics. And there's a director. So there's a director out there someplace that's God that is running the show. This is how we are trained to think. And the reality is, this is total foolishness. This is what we tell kindergarten kids to try to get them to make sense out of things. And that's not even nice. The truth is that God is everything. God is consciousness, pure conscious awareness, has no attributes, no characteristics, nothing we can talk about, nothing we can conceive of. It's beyond our ability to think. It's real, but we can't box it. We can't limit it to ideas and concepts and thoughts. So this is pure conscious awareness. It had no beginning, has no ending. It just is. And an aspect, part of that pure conscious being is expressive. It expresses as this world, this universe, and probably many universes. So there's an expressive aspect and a pure awareness conscious aspect. This expressive aspect, it comes into being, and it comes into being through energy. In the Hindu tradition, we call it prana, life force. The Taoists call it chi. The Christians call it Holy Spirit. There is an energy that moves into manifestation, that expresses. And this energy begins its expression. We can listen to our physicists and our astronomical, wizards, and they say, well, this energy starts off as energy, and for some reason, or actually for no reason, it just popped into being. The Big Bang. All of a sudden, energy turned into stuff. All the energy that is the universe right now is contained in some kind of a dot smaller than the head of a pin. And it just it just started doing its thing. And it didn't start doing its thing because somebody was telling it to. It started doing its thing because it's the nature of this process to express. It is the nature of consciousness in its expressive aspect to unfold, to evolve, to grow, to become more interesting, to be having more fun, So they say it figured out that these subatomic particles could hang out together in relationships and create, atoms, hydrogen, helium, and then these things got together and decided they could hang out together and became stars, and they turned into other things and molecules, and but at the end of the day, we had a universe which is continuing to unfold and continuing to expand. The Big Bang never stopped. It's still banging. And it comes out of itself. It grows out of itself organically, naturally. It has an intelligence and ordering principles that grow out of itself. Nobody's running the dials. Nobody's making this happen. Nobody is out there controlling it. It comes out of itself organically. We plant a seed. The seed has the intelligence and the order to know how to make a tree, a plant, a rose. And when that seed begins to express and unfold, nobody's out there telling it what to do. It knows it from within itself. Okay? This is true. And so this universe has unfolded out of itself. Just like a rose bush, it knows how to make the roots and the branches and the thorns and the leaves and the beautiful blossoms. It all comes out of itself. It's all self-organized and intelligent. The intelligence is woven into the heart of it. And so the universe has continued to unfold and to blossom. God has expressed as this whole universe, and it continues to blossom as us, each one of us. Each one of us is a beautiful blossom in the universe. Part of it, just like the rose blossom is not separate from the bush, we are not separate from the universe, and we are not separate from God. We are it in expression. So what happens is this witnessing, this consciousness, which is God, becomes identified with its expression, with its active expressing. And in the identification, it becomes enchanted, it becomes involved, it becomes so interested in what's going on that it forgets, gosh, I did this in the first place. This is me. It's like we go to a movie theater and we pay our, what is it? If movie theaters are open, I don't know, $20 to go see a good movie. And so we pay and we go in there, and if they do a good job, we go through all the emotions. You know, the heroine is tied to the railroad tracks and the train is steaming toward it and puffing out like a big dragon. And what are we going to do? We're anxious. You know, the stress is going through our system, white knuckles on the seat, leaning forward. Oh my, oh my. And then at the last second, the hero comes riding in on a white horse with gleaming silver sparkles and reaches down and deftly cuts the ropes loose and grabs the heroine just in time to get out of the way of the train. And we go, oh, wow. You know, and we have all these emotions and all these feelings, and we're there. We are identified with the characters. And if we're not, we want to get our money back. I mean, we're paying for this experience, and we're enjoying the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory and being scared to death. Wow. You know, it's great. And so this is God's movie. This is God's dream. This is Leela. This is the play, this cosmic play. We're doing the same thing here. God is doing the same thing through us, as us, playing with itself. So God is the active principle, God is the thought, God is the mind, God is the body, God is the interaction, God is the things, the objects that we're interacting with. All of this, it's no separation. It's one thing. But we have forgotten because we're so enchanted, we believe that we're separate. We feel that we're separate. And that feeling, that sensation that we're separate, creates a lot of problems, you see. Because inside at the soul level, there's always this aspiration to be complete, to be whole, to be healthy. All right? So and that's why it's nothing we do is ever enough. It doesn't matter how much stuff we have, it's never enough because it doesn't fill that hole, that need to be complete. We think, gosh, if I could only get the right car or live in the right house or have the right job or have the right relationship, if something was different in the world, then I would be happy and healthy. See, if I could just get it right. But the problem is that we keep looking out there for the solution, and we've all been around long enough to know that no matter how much stuff we get, no matter how we change our relationships, no matter what we do, it's never enough because it's not satisfying the soul, you see. It's not satisfying. So what's the solution? The solution is, well, we need to figure out where the problem comes from, which is this sense, this feeling of separation and this compulsion to have one desire after another that's not fulfilling and that creates disharmony and suffering. So that's, health, wholeness. And our other word was happiness. Happy, to be healthy and happy. Now, these things are intimately interconnected. We cannot imagine being healthy without being happy, because if we're not happy, then there's not a wholeness emotionally and mentally, at least. And we can't imagine being happy if we're not healthy. If we're not healthy, it's a physical body's not working right. If we're mentally challenged, if we're fearful and anxious, like, 3/4 of the world today or more, then we can't be happy. Health and happiness are intimately connected. They're together. And interesting, the word happy comes from a Proto-Indo-European word called hap. Or actually, the original word was kylo, which evolved into hap. I'm sorry, cob, which evolved into hap. And it originally meant to suit, to fit. When things fit together, when they were successful. And it also meant, it evolved into meaning chance, good fortune, good luck. So happy, which means literally today, delighted, pleased, glad, experiencing pleasure, contentment, joy. But it comes from this earlier word, which meant things fit, when they fit. And, if we go back 3,000 years when the Aryans had domesticated horses and were creating chariots and carts and moving around, they were nomadic, and they were kind of the original cowboys and cattle rustlers. They would go raiding and, steal cattle. But they were pretty advanced technologically. They had these cool wagons and carts and horses to drag them around. Well, if you can imagine using primitive tools to make a wheel, and the wheel has to be round. If it's not round, bump, 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 that's not good. And not only do you have to make a wheel that's round, but you have to get an axle hole right in the center, and the axle hole has to be exactly perpendicular to the plane of the wheel. Otherwise, it wobbles, right? So the early Sanskrit word for whole was ka. And the Sanskrit word for good was su. Sukha meant good hole, good space. And a bad hole, bad was du. Dukkha. So dukkha meant a bad hole. It wasn't fit right. It was wobbly. Something wasn't working. And dukkha, the Sanskrit word dukkha, came to mean suffering. So the first teaching of the Buddha was there is dukkha, there is suffering, there is wobbles, there are bumps in the road. And this suffering is not just a suffering of, I broke my foot or, tree fell on the house or something. It's suffering of any kind. I can't get a parking place. They don't have any more organic tomatoes at the grocery store. Little stuff, all these things are suffering. They cause us to wobble. They cause us to be out of sync. When things fit, when they're just right, good fortune, when it works, we're happy. Happiness and wholeness and health, intimately interconnected. These go together. And so we look for the opportunities that we have in order to create this sense of happiness and this sense of wholeness, this sense of connection. And we do this in two main ways. One is we meditate on a regular basis. And this meditation, it's simply an opportunity for us to turn off the channels, all the distractions, all the information, all the noise that's coming in through the senses, all the memories of the past, expectations of the future, emotional, disharmony. We just let all that go and put it on hold, temporarily time out. And we just rest in being. We rest. It's like, I get a chance to wake up for a moment. The dreams are pretty intense. The dreams really, are enchanting. And for just a little while, I want to just rest and be. So our meditation practice, we practice and we do this again and again and again in order to become comfortable with being ourself, with a capital S, our true self, our real self. And taking the time to do this, taking the time to sit and meditate, to just be quiet, to rest in beingness every day, is a profound act of self-love. This is a profound act of caring for ourself, our real self. Not the illusory one, not all the, the adventure and the action and the identification with this external reality, but the true self, the one that's immortal, the one that continues forever, to rest in that beingness and to become grounded in that. That's what I am. To experience that, to know that. When we experience that, these unfulfilled desires and these compulsions go away. They lose their juice. We're no longer pushed around. So the Buddha said, first teaching, there is suffering, dukkha. Second is trishna. Trishna is thirst. We have this desire, this thirst, which is the cause of our suffering, which is the cause of these ideas, these problems, you see. So thirst creates the suffering. Desire, one desire after another leads to suffering. And then the third noble truth, the third teaching was, there's a way to reduce this thirst, to reduce these desires, and a procedure that we can use in order to move beyond that. And the way we reduce those desires is to the way we reduce our suffering is to reduce the desires, which is by coming into this awareness of what we really are. To change the conversation. There's nothing wrong with desire. We need to eat and take care of ourselves and have things, but it's the compulsion that keeps us feeling incomplete, that interferes with the sense and the experience of wholeness that leads to the problems, to all the suffering we have, all the anxiety. If we want things to be different than they are, we're not content. If we want things to be different than they are, we think, okay, whatever's happening in this beautiful evolutionary process that is inherently intelligent and well-ordered and knows what it's doing as it's unfolding and evolving, it knows how to do what it's doing. We have to learn to trust that. No matter what's happening around us, we just have a short-term view. We have a little small viewpoint. And we get so enchanted with that little narrow viewpoint and so sucked into the drama that it all becomes intense and we become affected by it. So we have people living in fear and anxiety and worry because of the short-term situation. The whole planet has got a timeout and all been sent to the corner to be quiet and take care of yourself, and we have the environment's going crazy and politics are going crazy and economy's going crazy. Well, guess how change and transformation takes place, how evolution takes place. We don't evolve and we don't move to a higher level and to a more sophisticated level and to a more awakened level by doing what we've always done. We have to change. And the change, if it comes very slowly over a long period of time, we don't notice it so much, and that's comfortable. But sometimes change has to happen a little more quickly and a little more intensely, and that makes us uncomfortable. We like to know what's going on. We like to feel this imaginary illusion that we're in control of something. Just like we imagine God's in control of this. There's no God in control. There's nobody running the show. There's nobody twisting the dials behind the screen. It's happening out of itself. And you're not in control. You think, how many people are making your heart beat? Huh? Try to stop breathing. Just hold your breath until you pass out. When you pass out, you'll start again. Just go ahead, hold your breath until you pass out. If you're in control of this body, then show me. You're not in control. You don't make your mitochondria, create ATP and make energy. You're not metabolizing the food and assimilating. You are, the you, but the idea that I'm in control, it's an illusion. The body knows how to run itself. It made itself out of itself. It has self-organized. It has blossomed in this organic way. It has all the intelligence built into it to do all the things it needs to do if we don't get in the way and interfere, So you're not in control. God's not in control. The process, life is. This evolutionary process is unfolding out of itself, and we are it. We are part of it. And we can reconnect with that. So we sit and meditate in order to reestablish our awareness of what we are. And then when we're not meditating, we interact in the world consciously. We pay attention to what are we thinking, how are we feeling, what are we doing, and is this in harmony with what's highest and best for us? Is what we're thinking true? Do we need to step back a little bit and go, wait a minute, let's re-examine this. Let's take the 30,000 foot view. Let's find out what's real. And if we're doing things that are not useful, and you know when you're doing things that are not useful, if you're doing things that are not useful, habits and addictions and behaviors, and if you find that you're a little critical and judgmental and angry, if you find these things, then change. You don't have to be the same person you were yesterday. You can just simply go, wow, this behavior is not really the ideal. It's not harmonious. It's not serving me. So I change. So we look at what we're doing. We avoid the things that are not useful, and we engage in the things that we know are useful. This is so simple. If we would just do it. And if you avoid what's not good for you, what's not useful, and you engage in what is useful, if you do that, if you pay attention to how you're thinking and feeling and acting, be mindful and conscious and aware, you bring yourself back into wholeness. You bring yourself back into where everything fits, it works together. You're happy. So allowing ourselves to engage fully and feel ourselves to be part of life, part of the environment, part of this beautiful unfolding evolutionary process that is God, that is the whole thing, to feel ourselves to be part of that, to look around and see every day, to see these beautiful interconnections, how wonderfully everything is working, to be able to wake up to that and live in that consciousness, that awareness. Then we experience health. Then we experience happiness. Then we're naturally led. Intuition, our guidance from within, leads us naturally to what is the ideal for ourselves and to allow us to make a useful contribution to serve life in a way that is supportive and nurturing of it. This is what we're here for. We're not separate. You have how many 10 trillion cells in your body that are all little creatures doing their job. And they all have to work perfectly and harmoniously for you to function. And each one of us is like a little cell in this body of God. And each one of us has a function. We have a purpose. We're here to contribute to help the process. And so we can do that. We can pay attention and ask ourselves, what can I do? How can I contribute? And then follow through. And we will be naturally led to health, happiness, well-being, contentment, peace, and we will make a positive contribution for the world. So that's all I know.
Thank you, Reverend. Appreciate that. This is the part of our service that we bring forth our tithes and our offerings. As you know, because of our situation with COVID, we're not having ushers pass the basket. We have a basket by the door. And there are several ways in which you can contribute and give. One is by going online to www.unitychurchofthemountains.org/donate. The other way is a system called consistent giving. It's simple, it's fast, safe, and it's secure. And all you need to do is reach out to Mike Davis or to Dave Ward, and they will get you set up on it. If you have any questions about that, please contact any one of the board members, and they can give you some further information. I'd like you right now to lead in our prayer from our heart. And when we think about tithing all the time, I think one of the issues or problems that people have is they feel that tithing is giving something, money, time, service. I'd like you to think of it as something different. It's a way of expanding on exactly what you were talking about this morning, being part of something. You're not giving anything away. You're being part of something, and it's something that grows. So please, if we change our thought about tithing, you know, it's actually a wonderful gift that we get when we tithe. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. Our healing prayer. May my mind know that it cannot be limited. May my heart know it cannot be separate. May I know only wholeness of being and claim nothing less than the fullness of life. There's a movie that's playing right now, Phantoma. I don't know if anyone has seen it in here. And I thought it was very interesting because at the very, very end of it, they post something on the board. And it's something we've probably all heard, have seen before. Well, there's two ways to live life. One is to treat everything like it's a miracle. The other way is to treat nothing as a miracle. It was written and spoken by Albert Einstein. And I thought it was kind of ironic that you're watching a movie of strong Catholic and Christian faith, and here was Albert Einstein is the way they ended it, but it's very true. We have within us miracles, and it's our job to take those miracles and bring them out into the world. Please join me now for a closing prayer, and let us sing, Let There Be Peace on Earth, and our prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it be with me.
Prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.